Good morning from the front porch, and welcome to Chapter 15, Male Express. They're hot, they're sexy, they're in the crew. Now, it sounded like a good idea at the time. A group of male dancers from Florida would jump on a tour bus and head up to Canada in January to start a 3-month tour of Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes. Now, my thinking was this. When men go to a strip club, it's kind of depressing as everyone just stares at their body part of choice and avoids all other eye contact. Now, when women go out to see the male strippers, they dress up in their best and party the night away. So I figured with all these buff men, the crew was going to score every night of the tour. I was the road manager, audio engineer, chief bottle washer, and driver. My crew was a little wet behind the ears. Ron Eliovitz had just started with Band World as a future student, and some new kid whose name escapes me. The three of us load up and head out from Toronto with me driving. We stop for a coffee, but the problem is neither guy has any money on him. Not even coffee money. And we're days away from seeing any wages. I start to fund the trip, all gas and expenses along the way. Hey, I'm trying to read a story over here, thanks. We started in Burlington somewhere and already we were in trouble. The producer was a blonde piece of work from Florida who had convinced her sugar daddy to invest in the tour. Now, problem was, she spent all the money on a trailer load of merch, and she came on the road without funds as well. Ticket sales were sluggish, as everybody knew the Chippendales brand, but this was a new brand and had no traction for ticket sales. Our first show was a riot. Pre-show, I worked the crowd on the wireless mic, running around, helping to pump the merch. Even back then, I was a wannabe performer. I always knew I had little talent on a mic, but no fear. Our show went great and we retired to the hotel rooms to laugh it off. The next morning wasn't so funny as the next show was canceled and we had to sit in our hotel and cool our heels. A few days later, we were on our way to Belleville and ready to start it all over again. At this point, the strippers were getting nervous about money too. We could smell trouble brewing and we all knew our producer was probably going to flame out. By the third show, we had all decided that myself and one of the strippers would look after all the money from here on out. At this point, I was owed all the money for our production and was financially tapped out. No money in the bank, no room on my Visa card. But that problem paled in comparison to the fact that we weren't getting any action with the ladies. The same held true for the strippers. We had 11 straight guys and one gay dancer, and they were getting nothing. It wasn't like we weren't working the room, trying to get the ladies to party with us. We were just striking out at epic proportions. At this point, we're on our way to Ottawa to play Barrymore's, which was a happening club in town. I remember loading all our gear up the ice-covered stairs, the back stairs at Barrymore's, oh my god, into the room and setting up our whole show. Little did we know what fresh disaster was just around the corner. As we were on stage, doing our show, the producer went to the venue and took all the gate receipts. She also shacked up with the one crazy-ass stripper by this time. By the time I found out about the money, she and her lover were back at the hotel, locked in their room. I beat on that fucking door so much that security was called about the commotion. Now we had a royal clusterfuck. We had no money to pay the strippers, no money for production, no money to pay the tour bus driver. This tour was going down right then and there. I spoke to the bus driver who agreed to take the guys back to the USA and as far as his bus depot in Nashville. Now, I was stranded in Ottawa. I'd lost all our money, didn't even have gas money to get home. My cousin Janet lives there, so I called her up and she came out with a couple of $100 in cash so we could get home. Thanks, Janet. As we left Ottawa on the 417, we hit Highway 7 and I blew right by the way station. Next thing you know, pulled over the side of the road by a very pissed off MTO officer. On top of blowing the scales, we had no log, no paperwork, and a guy in a milk carton in the middle of the seats. As he went off on me, I finally lost it and had my breakdown. I started losing it, telling him the story of the last several weeks in between sobs. That'd be the first and only time the tears worked, because he let us off with a stern warning, and we were on the road back home.
Hey, Eric. Yep, they're hot, they're live, they're in the crew. Male Express, the strippers. What do I remember from that? I remember approaching that lady in the hallway I think as they were trying to skip town with all the cash, and just ripping into her that you're an amateur, blah blah blah. And like, who the hell was I? It was like my first gig, and I was telling this woman she was an amateur. But you stood up for us, and you led the way. You were the leader. You know, you taught me how to hang a bar of lights off the top of a ladder. I was so terrified of dying, but you stuck with it and until I got it. You taught me how to tie in tails into a live power panel, usually located in like a hotel or restaurant kitchen, or this one time in a barn over a water well. We may have even dropped the tails into the well, dug them out with a hockey stick or something. I don't know. You taught me how to think outside the box when it came to design. Like, you know, I remember you saying that there was no real right or wrong, only a few guidelines to follow. Everything was fair game with you when it came to design. You know, the windows, the chandelier, you know, a creepy painting of a clown on the side wall of a ballroom or something weird like that. You know, hang a light, cable it, plug it in, turn it on, and point it at something until you like how it looks. That was the way it was with you. Anyways, one thing I always noticed was how you treated the crew with respect. You know, you understood that you needed them for you to do well, and if they did well, then you did well. But I think my favorite thing that you taught me was to always have fun. It was always fun with you, you know, whether it was like laughing at a man standing at a podium, you know, burning his lip on a little light, thinking it was the microphone, or you know, racing the stage during encore to bring in an upstage truss and punch out all the gels for an AC/DC all-white finish to the show. You know, we never knew what the day would bring and what the day would throw at us and challenges we had to deal with. But you guarantee that by the time the lock was on the truck, we likely had a hell of a time. Always an adventure. Reading your book and attending the Band World 30th anniversary celebration just recently has led me back to many great memories that I'm forever thankful for and will recall with great joy. They were instrumental times to where I am right now, and I'll never forget them. And you were a big part of that. It was a time where I think that you know, not a lot of people were interested in sharing their skills and teaching, but you never had an issue with that. You always were there and always taught and was always sharing. So for that, I thank you. Congratulations on a great book, on a tremendous career, and don't ever change. You're truly one of a kind. Do you think you bought it? I don't know. He's always calling me, like talking and doing this and doing that with the hazer and the waves. Just take the hazer. I know. And what's that? The motto, like saving the world from bad lighting. Like, it's a God. I'm gonna light the world and save the world. Oh my God, yeah, that's it. What?